everyone for coming to tonight's show. This is Julia Anderson with Real Talk. For Black History Month, we are going to give little-known historical facts about, well, Black history. Sitting in our chair tonight is Dr. Brianna Jackson. Welcome to our show, Dr. Jackson.
Thank you for having me here.
Tell us a little about yourself.
I have a PhD in African Studies with an emphasis on world history.
And who are you going to talk about today?
I am going to present to you painter Jean-Michel Basquiat.
Please continue.
Jean-Michel was born on December 22, 1960, to a Haitian father and a Puerto Rican mother. He used his rich racial history in his work. Basquiat started his artistic career as a graffiti artist painting on buildings in Lower Manhattan. He and his graffiti partner, Al Diaz, painted under the pseudonym Samo, which was part of the graffiti. In 1981, René Ricard published an article titled The Radiant Child, which brought Jean-Michel to the public. In 2010, a documentary of the same name was produced by Tamra Davis. By 1982, Basquiat was having his paintings shown in Manhattan, Los Angeles, and throughout Europe. He also met famed painter Andy Warhol, who became a mentor and painting partner. As is the quirky nature of some artists, Basquiat would paint wearing $1,000 Armani suits, then show up at gallery shows wearing that exact same suit.
Wow, you're kidding. He went from being a graffiti artist to having showings as Soho and wearing Armani suits.
A book called Grey's Anatomy, given to him by his mother, inspired many of Jean-Michel's paintings featuring human anatomy. He also painted important events in African, Haitian, and Puerto Rican history. On his painting Untitled History of the Black People, Basquiat presented the fact that the Egyptians were black and attempted to reclaim Egypt and Africa. On his painting Irony of a Negro Policeman, he showed the duplicitous nature of some black policemen who witness police brutality against black people and either do nothing to stop it or they actively joined in on it.
Much like the slave overseer in the days of slavery. Some overseers beat slaves as bad if not worse than the slave master did.
Exactly. Basquiat's work was part of the neo-expressionist movement in the 1980s. And even though he was one of the most famed artists of that era, he faced racism and criticism about his paintings. Because Jean-Michel's paintings were about people of color, his work was often overlooked or dismissed.
Typical.
It is said that the death of Warhol hit Jean-Michel hard and his depression and growing heroin addiction became worse. After a visit to Hawaii to become clean and sober, Basquiat returned to New York and died of a drug overdose on August 12, 1988. He was 27 years old. As usually happens when someone famous dies, his paintings sold for a lot of money. With a painting that was untitled selling for over $14 million. Some of his works still hang in the Brooklyn Museum.
From graffiti artist to world-renowned painter. I hope those young kids who are graffiti artists realize they can take their art and make a living from it. And do so in a socially conscious way.
I hope they do as well. Art is art, regardless of what a person uses as a canvas.
I agree, Dr. Jackson. And thank you for this enlightening presentation.
Thank you for having me here today.
I want to thank you all for being here also. This is Julia Anderson with Real Talk. Bye-bye.